You know, most women tend to get offended or mad when a man asks, "Why are you single?" And depending on the context, the question can be offensive unless it's said in a little nice way, like somebody complimenting you, like, "Girl, you look too good. Why are you single?" You know, we get that sometimes. And sometimes when a man is serious, he's like, "Why are you single?" And in defense, we'll be like, "Well, why are you single? We both single. What's your point of being single? You are supposed to be the pursuer or whatever." But I'm learning to not get as offended when I hear that question, just because the older you get, the more you can understand why you are single, especially when you open up your mind and become observant and you just be real with yourself. My homeboy, he put up a story the other day, and that's gonna be the topic of this video. So hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Cherika Brown, of course. We're on another episode of Cherika Be Talking, cause I be talking. And today's episode is going to be, is it wrong for a man to wait until he is financially stable to propose? By the time I saw this question on my homeboy's story, it had already been like 3 hours, but there were already like 5 ladies who commented on the story. So I commented too after these ladies. All 5 of their answers said no, it's not wrong. They should be financially stable. Like, of course, a man need to have money before he decides to get married. So I commented on his story that financial stability is fleeting. You can build finances while in a relationship. Find a teammate, not an opponent. When people put up posts like that and I just go through the comments, like whether it's on TikTok or, you know, it used to be the other social media site where people write captions or write, you know, just words or whatever. When I read the comments, I just see that I'm not regular, and a lot of people will get mad at me for my confidence and say that, you know, oh, she too arrogant or whatever. But I mean this in the most humble way possible. I'm different and I know I'm different, and that difference keeps me separated. And while a lot of women will try to say, oh, she's a pick me, and you know, no, I'm not a pick me, because at the end of the day I'm single just like they are. But the difference is I'm genuinely single by choice. So I want to inspire both young women and young men with this message I'm going to put forth today. It's not going to all be about just me. I'm just giving y'all some background of my thought process and how I come up with my messages or whatever. I move in the world with intention. I'm genuine, I'm loyal, and I possess a lot of traits that is hard to find in other people, whether male or female. And while you may think those things sound so cliche, those things are really hard to come by, especially in today's society. I hold myself to a standard that most people choose not to live up to. So it makes it harder indeed for me to find someone that I connect with mentally. So we walk out in the world all the time. Of course, if you're attractive, you see other attractive people. We are, as women, constantly being approached by other men. So that initial attraction and just finding somebody is always very easy. It's fairly easy. However, it becomes hard when you start actually having a conversation with someone. I kid you not, I don't even like going out on dates, because I can literally have one conversation with a man and determine whether or not I would even want to go and sit down and eat with him. It's that simple for me. Like, the elimination process is fairly quick with me. So while the average girl may be like, oh, she's a pick me, just because my responses are normally, typically always different from the majority or the average response. What they don't realize is that my response scares away a man that's not ready to be a real man. And that's almost majority of men. A man who knows women will know that a woman that did not say, yeah, you need to have your money right before you come to me, that woman can't be bought. She's a tougher egg to crack typically. In his mind, the woman that requires loyalty, real love, faithfulness, vulnerability, and any other trait that he may not be willing to put into a relationship if he hasn't become a man just yet, is going to say, like, money is good and money is great, but money isn't enough. That woman that has the quote unquote pick me answer in a man's mind is the woman that just may be harder to tolerate. You know, nobody want no girl that's, I don't know if I'll be able to live with her for forever, because she just requires a little more. She's going to require much more than just finances, and he likely can't run the same game on her. He can't cheat on her and then give her a gift and expect her to just forgive him. And when I sit back and look at the state that today's society is in, I realize that there aren't many people that have true love, and I refuse to settle for anything but it. So many people date for an image. So many people date for validation, whether it's validation from the internet, strangers, family, or friends. But true love and true happiness is something that's priceless to me. So I guard my heart, not because I fear love, but because I know I'm capable of loving unconditionally, because I learned to love from the best lover of them all, and that's Jesus Christ, and God loved me first. This is not to knock other women, because just from speaking to other women, I know that I can't blame them for their thought processes or responses, because a lot of women date men that have no ambition, men that I honestly wouldn't even consider. So know that I would never encourage a woman to date a man that doesn't have any business about himself. In my mind, that should just be a given. You gotta have something going for yourself. You gotta have some motion. You gotta be able to wake up and go to work, and I shouldn't be your sole encouragement for doing things. Like, I'm not into the going to find a man a job and you pushing him to do this and do that. Of course, you're supporting him as a partner, but a man needs to have that initial motivation for himself to be a provider. When I say finances and financial stability is fleeting, what I mean is a person can be up today and down tomorrow. In life, we will never be fully ready for anything that comes our way. So what we need to start to think about as a generation and society is when the money runs out, when you're no longer cute, when you get those wrinkles in your face or your skin starts to change and your health may decline and the car's in the garage and then the driveway may not be the latest, what will you have that will sustain you and make you still love and care for your partner till death do you two apart? As a man, you are never wrong for wanting to be a provider. It's your job. As a woman, we got to be wiser. We got to go to the Lord for guidance more. Only you know if a man truly likes you or love you. So be careful when saying a man needs to be financially stable before he proposes, because you'll have one man that uses financial stability as a crutch to never propose, and you'll be waiting a lifetime for a ring. Whereas there's another man who says, he needs to be financially stable, and it's truly because he wants to be able to provide for a family that he creates. You got to be able to distinguish between the two, otherwise you're going to be out of luck. So yes, love does not pay the bills, and a man got to be bringing in income, of course. But I want you to challenge yourself to think about his ability to provide for you spiritually and emotionally, for his family, for his children as well. How would this man be as a father? Would you want your daughter to date this type of man? Would you want your son to be just like this type of man? Those are the things that we don't think about when we're too focused on money, and also sometimes when we are in love with a person. So go to God for clarity and wisdom. A man can have all the money in the world, but would you truly be happy if he's not a stand-up, honest, and trustworthy guy? Would you truly be happy if you're always the one, always putting your ego aside, and he sucks at resolving conflict? We have to require more than just finances first. The question I want each of you to ask yourself is, are you living life for yourself, or are you seeking validation from the outside world? This is a real good question to ask yourself for relationships, your personal life, just being single, your friendships, every single aspect of your life, especially when you have social media and this thing called stories and posting, and where you're constantly sharing pieces of your life with the world. Are you really truly living for yourself and God or Christ? We're human beings and we're constantly changing and evolving. I know for a fact that We're never truly satisfied in life because there's always a new height that we want to reach no matter how rich or financially stable a person becomes. What is financial stability to you personally? When you hear financial stability, what do you automatically think of? Like, is there a number, or is there a lifestyle that comes with it? What is financial stability to you? Because one thing I learned about finances is that it's very relative. One person's rich can be another person's middle class, can be another person's poor. I've known some of the quote unquote richest people who still aren't satisfied in life because with riches come bigger bills and bigger expenses, especially if you aren't used to certain things and you start to splurge in areas of your life that you never were capable of splurging in before. It's so much easier to say what you wouldn't do when you don't actually have the money and the funds to do things to begin with. Have you ever even considered like how a person spends money rather than how much money they have in their bank account may be more important, because a person's spending habits can be much more problematic than their actual number in their bank account. I know for a lot of richer men that I've possibly talked to or whatever, before I cut them off with no time, as soon as I see like, okay, he has this much amount of money, but he actually enjoys going to a strip club every weekend and throwing his money on other women. First of all, I'm very jealous hearted and I think that's a waste of money, and I also don't really care for the environment. So me and him not even equally yoked, so I know this isn't about to go anywhere, and he can very well be a quote unquote good guy, but he's spending money in ways that I don't want to spend money. So I'm not going to tell him how to spend his money because he worked all his life for spending his money. If he decides to just what I consider throw it away, that's up to him. I can't come in his life thinking I'm about to change him. I can only express my concern or express my way of thinking, but I'm not like up for the job of changing him. So I know that this isn't going to last at the end of the day, and now he's a friend. He's no longer like a candidate. So you have to think of things like that instead of being obsessed with money, and just really have morals and core values of things that you don't really agree with, so that you won't fall for the man with money, but then you're unhappy. These are just some things that are not surface level. I would think that this is just a little deeper that you could start to consider if your goal as a single person is to one day be married. I hope this helps, and I think we need more healthy conversations like this in our community in general, because everybody knows times are hard, everybody needs some money, everybody going through it, and people are just too money hungry and money focused sometimes. Like, yeah, we need money, that's no lie, that's no doubt, but we're so much better together, y'all, and we'll be better off when we really understand that concept, that we got to get out of the selfish mentality, like what is in it for me, what me, I need this, I need that, and think of what can we do, how can that me turn into we, and ultimately that is what marriage is if you claim you want to be married. But I hope y'all got something from today's conversation. Y'all know I'll be back because I be talking.